Hi there, this is Lisa Wilcox listening to Rocktober on Rock Video Rental.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Rock Video Rental. I am Brandon, and with me, as always, is Caleb, and we are continuing on with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And this time, we are talking about Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. It is from 1991, is directed by Rachel Talalay. That last name always cracks me up.
La la la.
Talalalalalalalay. The plot is dream haunting Freddy Krueger returns once again to prowl the nightmares of Springwood's last remaining teenager and of a woman whose personal connection to Krueger may mean his doom. The cast, we got shocker here, Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, Lisa
Snap.
Zane as Maggie Burrows, Sean Greenblatt as John Doe, Leslie Dean as Tracy, Ricky Dean Logan as Carlos, Brecken Meyer as Spencer, Yaphet Kotto, what are you doing in this movie as Doc? And we got Alice Cooper, who goes uncredited as Freddy Krueger's dad. I had to throw that one in there because I always forget that Alice is in this movie.
I would have had no idea.
Yeah, he doesn't have his makeup on.
That's funny.
This was one of the movies that in the series that I've probably seen the most. I mentioned last time that my dad taped it off TV for me one time. So I
Okay.
got like the super watered down edited version of it, but I used
So
to
here
watch that quite a bit.
here's a very important question for me to ask then. Why?
Why? Because I was
Why
a kid.
why did he record it for you? And why did you watch it so much?
Well, he recorded it for me because he knew that I liked um the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And why did I watch it so much? Because I was like 14
Idiot. No,
and I
just kidding.
had and I had a scary movie on tape and I watched it quite a bit. This is part two. I had part two on a tape as well. So really not the two best in the series. I used to defend this movie, and then when I watched it this time, and I'm like, this is more painful than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah, it
Okay.
hasn't been good the last two entries, I can tell you that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have a real um brutally honest comment here. So like if there's some people who just like love this one, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with you. But the I think a good equivalent to explain this with would be like this is essentially the Nightmare on Elm Street equivalent to Jason X.
Oh man, I don't know about that.
Dude, dude, come on. Come on. Like what
I would say it's closer to Jason Goes to Hell.
I don't know. I was actually just looking at those grades from before, and let's see here. Jason X, I gave a 1 2 for it, and you gave it a 0.5. Jason Goes to Hell, I gave a 0.5 and you gave a 1. So I mean
Yeah.
like we're both right there. Um I don't know. I'm just jumping right into it. So they and part of the reason why I think I'm like ready to bash this one down so quickly and so hard is they changed Freddy, and I know that you've talked about this and you've kind of seen it through the movies. They changed Freddy into more of a comedian than a scary killer guy.
Yeah. He's a
And
clown.
yeah, And so, but they really like changed. And so in the other movies like Halloween and in Friday the 13th, the killers have no personalities. So there's no changing them.
Hmm.
And so this happening in this one, I feel is one of the most outrageous things that they could do. And like it was all for the worse, in my opinion. And my
Yeah.
opinion is what matters most. So no. Um, but yeah, I just while I was watching this, I was just thinking of how if you're a fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and this is where you get to, and so I'm trying to imagine too, back in 1991 watching this with the title of, you know, Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. Essentially they're looking to potentially close the Nightmare on Elm Street series with this, and then them presenting you with this turd covered in burnt hair.
Yeah, at least when Friday the 13th had a final chapter, it was good.
Right.
Oh gosh. Yeah, like Freddy's a straight up clown in this. The only thing I had that was even great in this movie is Robert Englund because he just gives it all again.
Mm-hmm.
Like he did a good job. Um,
and
maybe
and the
what he was given wasn't the greatest, but he still did a good job.
exactly, I was just going to say there were certain parts where I didn't really care for him and what he was doing, but I recognized that it was clearly the writing and not Robert Englund himself choosing to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And then the only thing I had for good was Carlos' death scene.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't too bad, but that was just me being like, I gotta try to put lipstick on this pig. Uh, so I guess things that were bad. I
Well,
can't
it took.
stand what?
Oh,
What?
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, things that I had that are bad. I can't stand the John Doe character. He's annoying, and he just looks like a ripoff Ryder Strong, Sean from Boy Meets World.
Nice. Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
it.
and he just wasn't doing it for me in this movie.
Yeah, no, I did not care for his character. I had a note that basically 30 minutes into the movie, basically nothing had happened. Um,
Yeah,
there was the little nightmare opening scene, but that was that supposed to be scary? Like,
right.
I don't
Where he's
even,
like Wizard of Oz.
yeah, there wasn't really, I mean, the one lady got sucked out of the airplane. I guess that was kind of scary, but outside of that, it's just like, okay, this is like normal dreamish kind of stuff
You
that's
know what it is? It's
bad.
straight up Roadrunner, dude. Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's like Looney Tunes.
No, they're, oh man, they're talking about tunes and everything with the video game and so, like, dude, I don't even know what direction to go in on to talk about what was bad. Okay, the whole concept of him having a family and a daughter,
Yeah,
all of a sudden that comes out of nowhere.
yeah, like I didn't know that before.
Yeah, like they never mentioned anything previously about him being married, let alone having a kid. I mean,
Well,
I
Craig Wasson's character, that jabroni in the third one, who did all the research on Freddy Krueger and found out that he had a mom, Amanda Krueger, like he didn't know that Freddy had a daughter and a wife.
yeah, that never came. Now, I understand to a little bit degree of, okay, hey, we're how many movies in? We're running out of things. Like, let's throw something else in there. I get a little bit of that, but also at the same time, it's just like you gotta you gotta be a little realistic here, because then too, I was thinking the John Doe thing was gonna be kind of a play on the Dream Child.
Mm-hmm.
What, Keith, or what was his dumb name?
I don't remember.
And so I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm trying to find the plot twist and whatever, but then it never
Jacob.
came. Jacob?
Jacob was his name.
Okay.
Didn't mean to cut you off, but it just popped in my head.
Yeah. And so I thought there was going to be a play on that, but then it winds up being his daughter, and like, he has this dark, twisted secret that he keeps from his family, and I don't even know. It was, oh man, I feel like
Our
I'm having,
episode's going to be as scrambled as this movie was because this movie is very unfocused.
oh, absolutely. Like I was just about to mention that, where it's just like there's just so much that I don't even know where to go with the whole concept. And I felt too that this movie was heavily based on like, hey, you have to know the Nightmare on Elm Street series to understand, because all of a sudden everybody's just like talking about it like they all know it and understand it. There's no like
Yeah.
convincing, there's no um drawn out process of like educating people on what's going on. It's just like, oh, hey, this is happening. Oh, okay, all right, what do we do about it? And it
Well,
just,
I mean, if you're coming into this movie, it's the sixth one in the series.
hey, well,
How many people are gonna watch the sixth one without watching the first bunch?
hey, my first Friday the 13th movie was Jason X, so just saying.
I'm sorry.
Hey, it was mostly uphill from there, so
That's true. You only had to take a step back when Jason Goes to Hell.
yeah, but man, I don't know. Well, then the rules were completely out for this one.
Hmm.
There was no continuity. They just started throwing in extra things with his wife and his daughter, and um and then he was able to come out dreams and all this sort of mess up stuff where you think they throw the rules out before, but this one there's just kind of like there are no rules. Um and honestly, like it, part of it was making me angry to watch, where it's just like, just make this its own movie at this point, because you're changing so many details. Like, don't even call the guy Freddy, make it
Yeah.
a new character and make something new, because this is so far off base.
Yeah, it really is. If you watch the first one and then watch this, you'd be like, this is the same series?
Right?
Also, Freddy looks like crap in this one. Like, he looks super shiny.
Oh yeah, and he
Like,
looked
they just cover him in Vaseline or something.
it definitely looked more comical than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's just lean heavily into the quote unquote comedy. That's why I said that Freddy's just kind of like a full on cartoon character. And it totally reminded me of Looney Tunes.
mhm. Well, then talking about the rules and everything, and just like how weird it is just like some people will fall asleep and go into Freddy's world, or whatever you might want to call it, and they're
Yeah.
still like in the real world. But then in certain cases with this one, it's like as soon as you fall asleep, you disappear and you go into Freddy's world.
Yeah.
Like physically, you go into the other world and just,
You gotta pull him out of the world, and he can do it by just bear hugging him.
yeah. But then also, like, then you get your body back out of the world, but then he can still kill you because you're technically still there.
But you have to put
Yeah.
3D glasses on
Oh my gosh.
because the last like 10 minutes of this movie's in 3D. Oh gosh. At least Friday the 13th did it early.
Hmm.
They got that out of the way quick.
Well, how about
Um,
I was not impressed with really any of the acting outside of Robert England.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, I
everybody,
had that Lisa Zane sucks.
it
She's
was,
she's brutal.
yeah. It just, there was nothing good.
It's obvious though that Breckenmeyer was gonna be the only one from this to do anything else. Because at least he had some personality.
Hmm.
But then also Yaphet Kotto, he was wasted in this because, like I said in the beginning, why is he even in this movie? Like that guy's so talented,
Right.
and it's obvious that he phoned it in. He's like, why in the hell am I in Nightmare on Elm Street 6?
Well, honestly, like the night before this, the Nightmare on Elm Street series wasn't terrible. Like there were
The
some
last one was
decent.
pretty bad.
Oh yeah, so like it was bad, but it's just like I feel like it would still have its reputation.
Yeah.
But after these two flops in a row, it'd be like, whoa, who the heck even wants to touch this? Like
Well, somebody wanted to because there's another one after this.
no, I know, but like in your right mind, who would want
Yeah.
to? But besides desperate people, so
Oh gosh. Yeah, there's so many goofy things in this.
Tom Arnold,
The whole Tom Arnold and Roseanne. Yeah, that whole carnival. Why even have a carnival if there's no kids?
right?
That was my question. Like, where are all the kids? And like this carnival's dead. Like, why even have a carnival if you don't have kids around?
There was it should have just been a ghost town. Like, what was the point of any person being there except for like for instance, I think one of the best ones is when they went to the schoolhouse and there was that crazy person like trying to teach a class.
Yes, I was gonna say everybody in the town is just whacked out of their gourds.
Yeah, and then there's a book and they learn some things and they're just like, "Oh, sweet, we got another piece of the puzzle. Like everything makes sense now. We're not going to question anything. We know everything we need."
Exposition, that's all that was for.
Oh my
Here, let's
gosh.
explain some stuff.
Exactly. And it was just how many times did they do that though?
Enough.
Too much.
Oh man, you love this one.
Oh, so much. Like I have so many good things to say.
So I knew the part that you were really gonna love the video game sequence.
Right?
So apparently, um, when you smoke weed, you hallucinate like it's LSD.
God, I didn't
I
even
mean,
think about that.
I've never smoked weed in my life, so I don't know the full reaction to that, but I know it doesn't make you hallucinate like you're on LSD.
Yeah, no, that was definitely more of an LSD interpretation of a high than um, anything else I've seen
Yeah, and
before.
could they pick a more cliche song than Inagata da Vida? Oh,
Well, then what about that? Oh man, I don't even know. Should you go through the deaths? Have
yeah,
you
I
ever
think I
done
probably
that?
should cover that before we get into more scenes because a lot of the scenes I have are death sequences. So the one I thought was the best was Carlos. Carlos has a hearing aid, and in typical Freddy fashion, like he exploits that. Um, he takes Carlos's hearing aid and gives it back to him, and it becomes like attached to his head and gives him like super sensitive hearing. And Freddy like scratches his glove on the a chalkboard and makes Carlos's head explode. Anytime there's a head explosion, I always think it's great. This one wasn't the best. I mean, it's not Scanners level. Scanners was amazing. Um, and the head explosion and the Prowler was awesome, but I mean that was Tom Savini. But yeah, it's always great to have a head explosion. And then there's Spencer. He gets dropped into a pit after he gets pulled into a video game, and Freddy controls him with the freaking power glove.
Yeah.
Freddy loves the power glove. It's so bad. Oh god, that was so horrible. And the graphics, oh, even in those in 1991 standards, those were bad. So John Doe, rip off Sean from Boy Meets World. He gets dropped into a bed of spikes in the most Looney Tunes fashion ever.
Yes, thank you.
He gets way up in the air, falls down, and then Freddy like pushes a bed of spikes under where he's gonna fall, and then he looks at the camera and like exhales really hard. And I'm like, oh, that's the coyote there.
Hmm.
And then we got Mr. Underwood was killed with a straight razor off screen. Then we got Loretta Kruger, who is Freddy's wife. She was strangled to death.
Was it strangling? I kind of thought it was more of a head bashing.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because it was really far back.
Yeah.
I don't know. She didn't really put up much of a fight though. And then we got Freddy. He was blown up with a pipe bomb in the chest, and that was incredibly lame. Because
Mm,
how do you stab a pipe bomb into someone? It's not
she's
sharp on the end.
she's Freddy's daughter. She's super strong.
She's like, "Ah!" and stabs it in his chest, and then it explodes, and then we get that weird, horrible digital effect of Freddy like screaming and his mouth opening to another Freddy. And then those little demon things come out and fly around because it had to be in 3D.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely amazing.
It's like
And
Friday the
such
13th, part 3 with the yo-yo.
and it was such a great coincidence, that Doc had the story to tell about those demons. And it's just
Right.
like, oh wow, what a coincidence. This actually comes to play like in the next 4 hours of our day.
As soon as you said Doc, I thought of Back to the Future and Christopher Lloyd. Marty.
Freddy's
Uh,
alive.
Freddy's alive, but we got to go back to 1985. I got to talk to you about your future.
No, I need to talk to you about your future.
And that's all the lame deaths in this movie. Pretty much goreless for the
Yeah,
most
no,
part.
yeah, for the most part, like that's the thing too, where it's just like I feel like a little bit of a redeeming quality about the last one, even though they were outrageous, but the deaths were still like horror-esque,
Yeah.
like scary, mess with your thoughts, dream, nightmare kind of a thing. And these were just like comedic.
Yeah. And I think the MPAA was really cracking down on slasher movies at this time. Um, Starting kind of in late 80s with Friday the 13th Part 7. That one got hacked to pieces. Um, there was that one was pretty gory, but they had to cut out a bunch of stuff. And I think that's what happened with this one too. They were pretty much told to lay off the gore as much as they could. So that's why like Carlos's head explosion looked like a bunch of popcorn shot out instead of like brains.
Nice.
But I mean, in the dream sequence that it was in, it was somewhat effective and it worked, I guess. Another thing I had that was bad was that Spencer sitting there playing one of those Tiger electronic games, and man, those things sucked. He used to have a whole bunch of them as a kid. Now I look back at him now and I'm like, dang, these sucked. I should have just saved my money and bought a Game Boy.
Mm-hmm. Well, dude,
It's
like,
like,
so, oh man, I don't know. I could still keep going on ranting about different things that just don't add up and were just poorly executed in this.
there's a lot of weird things in this. Like, uh, when, dude, I can't even remember her name. Maggie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Maggie. I was gonna say Lisa Zane. She's the actress, but when she's like sitting at her desk and then she like figures something out and she gets up to run off. Why does she clear her desk? Did you notice that? She gets her arm and like swipes all the papers and stuff off her desk and then takes off running.
No, I didn't notice that.
I'm like, why in the hell would you do that? It just didn't make a sense. The director's probably just like, be dramatic. Like, this is a really dramatic thing. And she's like, pushes the stuff on the floor and runs off. She's like, okay, that's a choice.
Ah.
Um, oh, Johnny Depp has a puts in the best performance outside of Robert Englund. It's a cameo that lasts all of 7 seconds.
Yeah. I bet he just was just like, why did I even do this?
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? Yeah, it looks like a bunch of eggs in a frying pan to me. Oh god. And then I had that the Wish.com version of Ryder Strong has his mouth open more than Corey Haim. And that's really saying something. Every time they show John Doe, his mouth's open. Freaking mouth breather.
Oh man.
Yeah. The acting is definitely not a positive in this movie.
No, yeah. I mean, like, even the way that's shot and the mood, the soundtrack didn't do anything to help this. Like all of it made it feel like it was something completely different. I mean, honestly, the only thing that held it together was Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Like if they had just put in, like, let's say they for whatever reason made Freddy not burned, like made him just a normal human being that was like going around doing all this. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think it would have hurt anything because it would just be like, okay, it's bad enough. Like that doesn't really it's not making it any worse.
Right.
I don't know. It just so
Freddy the Clown.
so bad. Yeah, they should have just made him a clown and painted his face and called it a day.
Oh gosh. So other scenes. There's a scene where John Doe gets picked up and brought to like the institute that Meg is working at, and they're asking him questions, and she's like, "Where are you from?" And he's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Wow, that escalated really quickly."
Yeah.
And then there's the scene, you talked about how characters will fall asleep and they'll still be in their world. And Carlos falls asleep in the van and he's unfolding the map and it keeps unfolding and unfolding and unfolding.
Oh yeah.
And that was really stupid. I'm like, ooh, scary.
Oh no, paper. So much
And
paper.
then they redid the whole driving around in continuous loop from
Yeah,
the
that
last movie.
oh
Or from
yeah.
part 4, I mean, not part 5.
You're right. I kind of forgot about that.
Move over. I'm driving. That part.
Well, and then
Uh,
they totally in both scenarios never explained how they got out of the loop.
right. This one, they just, Maggie shows up and they're like, okay, let's leave.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's like, you can't leave people behind, I guess. And then the scene while Spencer's getting harassed by Freddy and they're trying to find him. And then Carlos is looking around and then Spencer comes flying through the window and he's like, I found Spencer. That part kind of made me laugh.
Yeah.
That was a little funny.
I felt like the I think the only thing that I had down as anything
Favorable.
favorable, yeah, favorable with this movie outside of Robert Englund was the quote where Freddy, and I can't remember the exact context. He was with his daughter, I think. Oh yeah, because it was towards the end, and he was trying to get her to help him to start, I don't know, tormenting people, getting in people's dreams again or whatnot. And his simple comment of every town has an Elm Street,
Yeah.
and I was just like, okay, like I get that. That's probably one of the few things in this movie that actually makes sense and has any validity behind it. So,
Yeah. It's one of those, it's not the greatest, but compared to everything else in this movie, it works.
oh yeah, no, like if you were giving awards away for this movie for anything, I would maybe say it would be that that quote right there, where it's
Yeah.
just like the most amazing thing of this movie was a halfway decent quote.
Uh, some of the backstory they showed with Freddy, like, it was pretty much pointless. We didn't need to know all this stuff about Freddy. And that's why I think Halloween handled Michael Myers the best, at least like in the first one, because you didn't know anything about him really. He killed his
Mhm.
sister. Seemed like an everyday normal kid, and then he just snapped one night. And then from then on, he was just nuts.
Yeah,
And it was nice to know that he didn't have any motive. It's scarier to know that he didn't have any kind of motive. Where this one they gave Freddy like this big backstory. They show him as a kid, and he's like, he kills a hamster at school, and all the kids like make fun of him and all that. And then they show him like as a teenager, and his dad, played by Alice Cooper, beats him, and just yeah, a little too much. And it was too heavy handed. Like, okay, could we be more cliche?
yeah, right.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure they really needed much of that.
No, not at all. They they didn't need much of anything in this movie.
Yeah. But what we do need more of is trivia and facts. You want me to dive in?
I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Oh yeah. So it's the first film in the series to not contain the little girls jumping rope and singing.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
So according to Alice Cooper in the Never Sleep Again documentary, he stated that he gets asked to be in horror films all the time, but they always want him to wear his makeup and use his onstage persona. He agreed to be in this movie, um, not only because he was a fan of the series, but he also got to play a character as Freddy's father as himself without his usual Alice Cooper look.
Hmm.
So Peter Jackson, probably most known for Lord of the Rings, was originally hired to write the screenplay for this movie.
What?
He wrote a draft, but it was not used.
Probably would
His
have been
original
better.
screenplay for Freddy's Dead saw Freddy aging and growing weak within the dream world. The teens of Springwood would have drug-fueled slumber parties for kicks and enter the dream world just to beat him up.
What?
Yeah, so that
Okay.
would have been interesting. And then I think I heard about this before, and I think like Freddy finds a way to like gain strength and then like get back at like the kids that are causing issues. I don't know. It would have been more interesting than this.
That does sound a lot more interesting. Sounds kind of messed up and really like bizarre, but definitely intrigues me a lot more than this.
Well, it was Peter Jackson too, so I'm sure it's pretty decent. So John Doe was supposed to be Jacob from the previous movie. It was made vague when they couldn't secure the return of Lisa Wilcox. Um, in earlier versions of the script, Freddy absorbed the entire town of Springwood into the dream world before moving onto the next town, with the dream police chasing after him. That is
The,
stupid.
the Dream Police?
Yeah, they live inside of my head. They come
Oh,
to me in my bed.
oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. So it's when it was released to home video, the 3D sequence was shown in standard format, excluding the UK rental version. However, the Laserdisc version, which I have, has the full 3D sequence along with a regular version. Um, there are two pairs of 3D glasses that were included with the disc. For some reason, mine has three, and I'm not sure why.
Nice.
The glasses were similar to the ones that were given out in the theaters, minus the advertisements, adhesives, and taglines. They were also printed on a thinner cardstock, which is the only way to view the 3D sequence prior to the DVD release in the US.
Hmm.
So Lisa Zane is actually actor Billy Zane's sister.
You know, I was wondering when I saw that name.
Yeah, and we know where all the talent went in that family. So when John and Maggie check out the Springwood, check out this is worded really weird. Check out Springwood after learning that Krueger had a child that was removed from his custody and placed there. The woman who runs the orphanage recognizes Maggie, foreshadowing the revelation that she is Freddy's daughter, Catherine.
Yeah, because that was such a great idea.
Right? It's the only film where Freddy Krueger doesn't kill someone with his glove. My lord, how did they do that?
What? Oh, it's probably because of the stupid regulations.
Probably.
Wait. Oh, wait, no, you're right.
Yeah. So a rare after the fact example. When the movie was in US theaters in 1991, it ran at 100 minutes, featuring many character moments and introductions. Maggie's foster mother doesn't just randomly show up near the end of the movie. However, for whatever reason, New Line decided to cut the movie down to 88 minutes for all home video releases, which unfortunately is all that has ever been available to this day. The German version of the movie, while cut down from 100 minutes, Also features many of the scenes removed from the home video version.
Huh.
So this movie was longer at one point,
Sounds so exciting.
right? Can't wait to watch that. Robert Englund said that his favorite kill in any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films is Carlos's death,
Hmm.
which that's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
And the last thing I got is this movie cost 11 million and it made a 34.8 in the box office.
Wow.
My guess is most of it was opening weekend. It's like, oh, it's gonna be the last one. Better go see it. And they made like a huge deal of it, like the marketing for it, where the opening day they christened like Freddy Krueger Day and like had all this big promotional stuff to go with it. But plus it was in 3D, so
In 1991.
added gimmick there. So grades.
Uh,
IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes.
okay, IMDb, don't let me down. 2.9.
A 4.7.
What?
2.9. Oh man, yeah, 4.7, dude.
You know what was a 2.9?
What?
Cool as Ice.
Ah, man.
So they're saying that this is better than Cool as Ice. I call BS.
I
Somebody
don't know. I
need
think I like this better than Cool as Ice. But I have more of a
uh
history with this movie, so
yeah, but the Cool as Ice makes more a thousand times more sense. Anyways, Rotten Tomato critic 25%.
it is 22.
Okay, I was a little bit closer with that. Audience, I have a weird feeling that they like had a better response to it. So 29%.
32.
Okay.
So just in comparison, this movie has a 4.7. Oscar has a 6.5.
Rightfully so. Dude, Oscar should have been nominated for an Oscar compared to this movie.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Like, it's okay. Seriously, Sylvester Stallone's acting was better than anything outside of Robert Englund in this movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm
It's
just trying.
easy to,
I was trying to scan through the characters. I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, you could maybe say Doc did okay, but as you even said, he like phoned it in eventually and he was just
oh,
like,
for
yeah, let's
sure. Like he's like, yeah. Fakoto's like, what am I doing in this movie? Much like when we covered the Bad News Bears Go to Japan,
Oh my
and Tony
gosh.
Curtis is probably like, what the hell am I doing in this movie?
My daughter's having a better time than I am.
Right? Oh man. Yeah, Yaphet Kotto known for movies like Alien, many TV shows, many movies, um, and a director as well. Was in Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. The Running Man is in that.
Oh yeah.
But yes. Um, our grades. I already kind of know what your grade is, so I guess I'll go first. I guess I have a history with this movie, so I guess my grade will be a little skewed. I know that it's bad, and watching it this time, I didn't enjoy it as much as I have before. Um, did you notice the song at the end was by the Goo Goo Dolls? Doesn't sound like the
Mm,
Goo Goo Dolls, does it? It's
no, I don't think I
pretty
noticed that.
grungy. I didn't even know that was them, and I watched this with my wife like a couple years ago, and she knew.
Okay.
She's like, "Oh, dang, that's an old Goo Goo Dolls song," and I'm like, "I did not know that." But yeah, I don't know. This time I didn't enjoy it as much, and I was just like, "Man, I want this to be done with." Like, what the heck did they do to Freddy? He's a freaking clown. And I think maybe just from like watching them one after another, I got that this time. But I ended up giving it a 1.5. And that 0.5 I'm giving it is just for nostalgic purposes.
Oh, come
I
on.
know that it's not good. It's not a good movie. It's probably in the worst in the series.
Boo this man.
What did
Boo.
I give part 6? Or part 5, I mean, because I don't like
A
that one
2.
either. A 2? Okay, yeah, I would say that's pretty fair then.
All right. Well, I just had a realization that the title of the movie is essentially what they were trying to do to Freddy Krueger's career is they were trying to kill it
Yeah.
because that's how bad this was. And they were just trying to bury it underneath
Also, it's not
being
called A Nightmare on Elm Street.
true. But Freddy was in it. And they were trying to kill Freddy and his career by piling on mounds and mounds of poop,
Dog feces.
dog feces, and then burning it. Yeah. So this non-press did not like. And okay, so if I just watched this movie, I probably would not be giving it such a low score. Um, I definitely wouldn't go very high at all, but I'm just saying, like, part of the reason why this is coming down so hard is because it is sticking out so bad from the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, time and time again, what we talked about was just like bad acting. The rules don't apply. Freddy is a clown. Freddy doesn't even look right. The kills were totally lame. I mean, the list goes on and on for things that were not done well and things that stick out compared to the original series. And so, because it is part of a series and is so off base, I just cannot give it a good grade. I cannot. And so, I am like tanking this down all the way to a 0.5 for me.
Okay.
You could maybe talk me into giving it a 1, but outside of just straight up taking Freddy out of it, or maybe not, um, like making him burnt and all that stuff, and like completely gutting it from any and all existence of Freddy, I don't really see how much more you could dig this into the ground, really.
Yeah.
Um,
He
like,
at least called Maggie a bitch.
right? He used his tagline.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I honestly, like, stopping to think about it for a second, nothing comes to mind where it's just like, yeah, they could have done that, and I guess technically that would have been worse. So, and that's honestly pretty difficult to do, where you can't
Yeah.
think of something that you could add to this movie that would make it worse. So, yeah, I went with a 0.5 then. So,
Well, Rock. Um, I could tell you that the next one's better than this.
I'll take it.
The next one's kind of an interesting entry in the series. Wes Craven does come back for it because it is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Um, like I said, it's usually one of people's favorites in a series and tries a bunch of different things. The setup is a lot different than a typical Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and it really kind of foreshadows what would become popular when he makes Scream. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a predecessor for that. And I don't know if you've ever seen Scream before.
No, actually, I've never seen any of those.
All right. But if you have seen it, would have seen it, you would see some of the similarities in that. But yeah, I mean, at least anything could be better than the last two we watched in the series. But then I remember that we got the remake still coming, so keep waiting for that one. Oh gosh, if you guys are liking the show, please like, subscribe, and share. We are on social media, uh, pretty much everywhere. Just search for Rock Video Rental. You'll find us. Check out our YouTube. We've got odds and ends of stuff on there. I've been putting a whole bunch of old commercials on there lately, so check those out. Those are kind of fun. Yeah, leave us a review. If you leave us a review, I'll mention it on the show. I say that all the time, and I probably haven't checked in a while, so I don't know if there's any, but yeah, do it and I'll check. But come by next time. We're going to be talking about Wes Craven's New Nightmare, an interesting entry in the series. But until then, as always, be kind and rewind.